Hello. So in this video, I'm going to go over some of the problems in the review sheet or the final exam study guide. Let's start. So let's 3 points on the line, negative 3x plus y equals negative 6. Now remember that the problem gives you the freedom to list 3 points. So it could be any points, but it should be on the line negative 3x plus y equals negative 6. So your answers would would be different from somebody else's answers. If it's a multiple choice problem, then you have to look at uh uh every uh uh each one of the possible answers and then put it in the equation to check if it works or not. But let's begin looking at it. So because I'm supposed to list 3 points, I could choose any number for x, any number. But you want to do small numbers first. So I'm going to start with 0. So let x be 0. When x is 0, I'm going to put that into the equation. So I have negative 3 times x, which is 0, plus y equals negative 6. Negative 3 times 0 is 0, so that goes away. Y equals negative 6. So this means that when x is 0, y is negative 6. That's my first point. And I know this is going to be on the line because I put the 0 into the equation to get my y. So x and y would give me a point on the line. All right. The next one, I'm going to try probably when x is positive 1. When x is positive 1. Again, it doesn't matter. Just choose any value for x. But I'm only doing small values because that works better than using big numbers. So when x equals positive 1, I'm going to replace x with a positive 1. So negative 3 times positive 1 plus y equals negative 6. Negative 3 times positive 1 is negative 3 plus y equals negative 6. I'm trying to solve for y, so I'm going to add 3 on the left, add 3 on the right. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0. So y equals negative 6 plus 3, y equals negative 3. Boom. So when x is 1, y is negative 3. That's my second one. So for the third point, I'm going to do negative 1. I'm going to do negative 1 when x is negative 1. When x is negative 1. When x is negative 1. So when x is negative 1, I've got negative 3 times negative 1 plus y equals negative 6. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. And now I'm trying to solve for y, so I'm going to subtract 3 on the left, subtract 3 on the right. So y equals negative 6 minus 3, which gives me negative 9. So when x is negative 1, y is negative 9. So you could keep going depending on the number of points you want. If you need 10 points, just choose any x value is going to give you the corresponding y value so that you have the x and y coordinates or x and y values to get your point on the line. Right. And I'm saying that if this is a multiple choice problem, then you have to look at all the points listed in the answers, put in the x, and then check if you are getting that y. If you don't get the y, then it means it's not a point on the line. All right, so number 2. Write the equation of the line through 0, 4, 0, negative 4 with a slope of 1/2. So for this one, you've got to remember your y equals mx plus b, which is the slope-intercept form of a line or the slope-intercept equation form of a line. Okay, so my slope is m, so y equals 1 over 2x plus b. Now I need to find my b because for every equation, you need the b part to be a number. So to find b, I've got x and y here. So I'm going to replace x with a 0 and then y with the -4. So y is -4 equals 1 over 2. X is 0 plus b. Wow. And then I solve for b because I need the b. A half times 0 is 0. So -4 equals b. So my b is -4. So I'm going to bring the b here and say that y equals, my slope is 1 over 2 x plus -4. Now, positive times negative is negative. So y equals 1 over 2x minus 4. And that's it. Okay. All right. So this part is also done. Now, number 3. Find the slope of a line through 2, -7, and 8, 5. So here, since we are finding the slope, you have to remember your y2 minus y1, which is changing y over changing x. And then you're going to label the point. This is x1, y1, x2, y2. Now, it doesn't matter if I decide to switch it so that I have x2, y2 for 2 and then -7, and then x1, y1 for 8 and 5. It doesn't matter. You're getting the same answer. All right, so my y2 is 5 minus my y1 is -7. My x2 is 8 minus my x1 is 2. So 5 minus -7 is 5 plus 7, which gives me 12. 8 minus 2 is 6, and that gives me positive 2. So my slope is positive 2. I'm done with that. Okay, let's keep going. Number 4, find the slope of the line 3x minus 4y equals 22. Now, to find the slope, you would have to go back to the slope-intercept form for an equation of a line, which is y equals mx plus b. Now, m is the slope. So your equation must look like that. Y has to be alone. Y has to stand alone. So before you find your slope. Now, if you look at this equation, someone would say, oh, the slope is 3 because the 3 is attached to the x, just like m is attached to x. But that is wrong because m is attached to x, but look at the y is just y or 1y. So you've got to make sure that the y in this equation becomes y, just y, before you apply the fact that m is the slope. So 3x minus 4y equals 22. For y to stand alone, because that's what I want, I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides, and this will go to 0. So -4y equals -3x plus 22. So I'm going to divide each term by -4 because I want y to stand alone. So -4, -4, -4, like that. And of course, these will cancel. Y equals, negative will cancel negative too, so 3/4 x. And then positive and negative gives you negative. So now I have my y standing alone, just like it is in the equation y equals mx plus b. So my slope is going to be whatever is attached to the x, which is 3/4. 3/4. All right. Number 5. So number 5, we are looking for quadrants. Now we know that this is Q1. This is Q2, Q3, Q4. Now you've got X is -5, Y is 1. So if X is -5, the negative part of X is going to be here. And then the positive part is going to be here, 1. So that is where your point is going to be. X is -5, Y is 1. So it's going to be in quadrant 2. Quadrant 2. All right. Quadrant 2. Quadrant 2. Now, in this one, we're trying to find the coordinates, number 6, the coordinates of point A. So this is where A is. Let me circle it. And we're not given so much information, but we know that if you look at these grids, we could say that this is 1 or -1, -2, -3. So it goes like that. Okay, it goes like that. So -1, -2, -3, 1, 2, 3. So here we could say that at this point, Y is 1, 2, 3, 4. And then here it's -2. So you're connecting -2 and then 4. -2 and then +4. That gives you the point. -2 and then 4. And that's it. With this one. All right. Let's keep going. The next one says find the coordinates of point H. That I know you can do it, so I'm going to leave that to you. Now let's get to the word problems. I'm going to add the word problems to this, some of them, and then I'm going to continue the rest in another video. So word problems, number 1. The difference is subtraction. The difference between 4 times a number and 76 is -4. What is the number? So what I would do is that because it says the difference, I know that this is subtraction. I'm going to put subtraction here, which means I need 2 numbers here, or 2 values on the left and on the right. The difference between 4 times a number, 4 times a number. If my number is X, 4 times a number. But this does not give me the 2 numbers I need for my subtraction. It just says 4 times a number. So that, if I'm writing that, that is going to be 4X. 4 times a number, my number is X. And so that's where my difference or subtraction applies. And 76. So the difference between 4 times a number, I'll put 4X here, and 76 is equal to is -4. Wow. So I set up my equation. So I've got 4 times the number minus 76 equals -4. So I've got to solve it. Oops. So this is 4x minus 76 equals -4. Now to solve for x, the 76 has to go away. So I've got 4x equals -4 plus 76 is 72. And then I divide both sides by 4. 72 divided by 4 is 18. Boom. I'm done with that. 18. Okay. Next one. Write an expression. So here is just an expression. You are not solving anything. For a number minus 7. A number minus 7. So a number, my number is x, minus a subtraction, 7. And that's all. A number minus 7. A number minus 7. Number 3, the product of a number and 4. Again, here you've got to pay attention to the words. The product. Product is a result from multiplication. So you're multiplying 2 numbers. It says the product of a number, let's say x. You need another number because you're multiplying, and tells you where your multiplication is going to be. And 4, so x times 4, which is 4x, it's equal to 27. So 4 times x is 4x equals 27. Divide by 4, divide by 4, x equals 27 over 4. So here it tells you to solve it. What is that number? And that is exactly what I have done here. Okay, let's keep going. Number 4. You've got a patient that has lost 23 pounds over 6 months. The patient's new weight is 219 pounds. What is their initial or original weight? So this patient's new weight is 219. The old weight, we don't know it. That's what we're trying to find. Old or initial weight is X. But this patient has lost 23 pounds, which means that if I add 23 to 219, it's going to give me the old weight. So the old weight or the initial weight equals 23 plus 219. And that's 242 pounds. And that's it. All right. Number 5. In number 5, we've got for every 8 grams of medicine, you need to dilute it with 5 grams of saline solution. Again, as you read, write stuff down. For every 8 grams of medicine, you need to dilute it with 5 grams of saline. Wow. So I set it up in a nice way. If you have 70 grams of medicine, so I've got 70 grams of medicine. So I've got medicine on top. So I put medicine on top on the other side. How much saline solution do you need? I put X here. And then I could cross multiply. If you cross multiply, you've got 8 times X equals 5 times 70. 5 times 70 is 350. So you've got 8 times X equals 350. You divide by 8, you divide by 8. And that should give you 43.75 grams. 43.75 grams. So it's all about the setup. If you set it up right, you should be good to go. If you set it up right, you should be good to go. Number 6. In number 6, it says based on the patient's age in months. So this patient's age has been calculated in months. The initial dose of a medication must be reduced by a quarter their age. Wow. So based on the patient's age, so I'm going to say patient's age is going to be X. Patient's age is going to be X. Patient's age is going to be X. And it's in months. In months. The initial dose of a medication, so initial dose, I'm going to do ID, must be reduced, which is subtraction, minus a quarter their age. A quarter their age. So a quarter of their age. A quarter of their age, or their age divided by 4, right? Is the same thing. A quarter means you're dividing by 4. And this should be equal to the dose the patient is going to take. So I'm going to say the patient dose. So I don't know what medication this is. It doesn't tell us, but it tells us that if you have the initial dose and you subtract a quarter of their age in months from it, it should give you the dose the patient is going to take. So let's keep going with the problem. If the initial dose, which is ID here, is 292, and the dose of the patient is 124. Oh, the PD is 124. So 292, the initial dose, minus 1/4, or x divided by 4, should equal to 124. So I solve this equation. I solve this equation. All right. So to solve this, well, there are so many ways we could solve this. I'm going to rewrite it so that I have more space to work. So this is 292 minus x divided by 4 equals 124. Now, because I'm trying to solve for x, I could subtract 292 and 292 here. So this will go to 0. So I have negative x over 4 equals 124 minus 292. 124 minus 292. That should give me 168 minus 292. That gives me negative 168. I'm not surprised I'm getting a negative because on the other side, I have a negative as well. So you could see that the negatives will cancel out. If you divide this by -1, divide this by -1, the negatives will cancel out. Or if you want, you could hold on to the negatives for now, but the negatives will cancel out, which gives me, if the negatives cancel out, I've got x over 4. I'm going to do it again. X over 4 equals 168. At this point, you could cross multiply. X times 1 is x, and then 4 times 168. And 4 times 168 is 672 months. And that's it, 672 months. Now, if you decided to keep the negatives, again, it is the same thing. It's going to give you the same result. It doesn't matter. If you decided to keep the negatives, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to quickly touch on that. Over 4 equals negative 168. You could cross multiply. Negative x on top times 1 is negative x. 4 times negative 168 is going to give us negative 672. You see it? And then you divide both sides by the negatives or -1, and that's it. It's the same thing. It is the same thing. Now, another way to also do this is that someone might see that, oh, a quarter, which from here it was 1 over 4, a quarter is 0.25, right? 0.25. So you could change the quarter. Instead of doing x divided by 4, you could also do, because I know that a quarter is 0.25, I could do 0.25x equals 168. Then you divide by 0.25. You divide by 0.25, and that should give you the same result. Same result. All right. I'm going to end this video here and then continue in another one. Thank you. Bye.